closer, closer, closer than I ever been.
Check. Alright, what's up everybody? We're back for my third video now, and before we get into anything, we gotta go to the next slide because we got some stuff to freaking talk about. First things first, thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who has subscribed, liked, commented, or viewed my last two videos. I can't tell you how much it means to me. You guys were sent over from Boltrix. He's my best friend. He's my roommate. I love him, and he knows how much it means to me, and I can't thank him enough for helping me out, and I can't thank you guys enough for supporting me the way you have so far. And for the next thing, if you want to talk to me whatsoever, the best place is in the comment section. So if you have anything you want to ask me, any criticism, whatever it is, let me know in the comment section below, and I promise I'll get back to you as soon as I can. We just passed 400 subscribers as of today. That's insane, mind-blowing, and I can't thank you guys enough. And then for the next part, I just want to reiterate the purpose of my channel. I made this channel, one, for documentation of my life, my journey to be a computer programmer, get a job, anything. I'm a college student now, so it's relatable to a lot of people. And number two really is because I've watched so many hours of content on YouTube, and all the information goes right over my head because I have no idea what they're talking about. And so I made this channel to start from the very beginning and teach you step by step how to learn code. And it's going to be as detailed as I can. I want to help out as many people as I can. 6 minutes long for an intro, and I still can't get it. What? Ain't no problem. I already made the video on HTML. I didn't cover everything, but I covered the basics, and I probably will make a more advanced guide somewhat in the future. But for right now, this video, and it's a 3-part series, is a continuation of HTML into CSS. So let's take to the next slide. What is CSS? CSS is an acronym that stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Don't ask me why, that's just what it stands for. And CSS is not considered a programming language. It is considered a styling language, just like how HTML is considered a markup language. It just builds the foundation. This one actually gives the beauty and the design of the layout, as you can see with the last 2 bullet points here, and it brings it to life. CSS is what makes a website pop. What you need to get started. Just like HTML, the only 2 things you need to get started are a web browser of your choice, my choice, Google Chrome. I feel like a lot of you will use Google Chrome, but if you don't, you have a couple other options too, and a text editor. This is where everyone has their own opinion. I use Visual Studio Code just because I've been using it for a little while now. I really enjoy it, but if you use any other text editor, that's completely fine. And then for the next part, there are 3 ways that CSS can be written in a file. And the first one is inline CSS, which is directly inside the HTML element, whatever it may be. And this is completely frowned upon in the industry. Do not do this. I'm just putting it in here just to let you know that it's one of the 3 ways it can be put into a file. The second way is internal, which is technically better than inline, but still it's a no-no, as I wrote there. But it's within the style tags, which I'll demonstrate in 1 second here. And then external CSS is the correct way to do it. This is when you link an external CSS file with all the CSS code in there separately. So then you link it and you can reuse it to any other HTML files, and you have it in a separate document. So let's get right into that and I'll show you. Alright, what's up guys? Let's go over these 3 ways to put CSS in a file right now. The first is inline, which I'm only going to take a second to cover because you do not want to do it this way, but I'm just going to show you just so you know. You put a style attribute inside of an element in the HTML that you would like to change, and then let's say color, let's make it red. And then you save it, come over here, refresh, and your title, my H1, would be red now. And this, like, you're gonna get the red regardless, but you do not want to do it this way because you're mixing the markup, the HTML, with the beauty, the style, the CSS, which is frowned upon. You do not want to do that. It just gets super unorganized. So let's erase that. Okay, so the second way is internal, and that involves being inside of the header tag up in the top, and you insert style tags with the type of text /CSS to let it know that you're writing in CSS. And then we can call the H1, which I'm going to go over this in the next slide when I go back to the PowerPoint. But then you want to do curly braces, which starts a declaration, and then you want to give it a property, and your property would be color and a value of, let's say, green. And then save it, come over here, it's already green, but let's change it to, let's just say blue. And if you save it, come back over here, refresh it, it'll go to blue. So you can, alter it from there as well. But this is also frowned upon. It's still ugly. It's inside of the same document as HTML. So do not do it this way. You want to do it the last way, which I'm going to show you here. Okay, and then for the third way I want to show you guys, which is the correct way to do it, so always do it this way, is you want to link it from an external source. So you want to put a link tag in here, which is self-closing, so you don't have to have an end tag for it. And then a rel, you let it know that's a style sheet, and then an href is where you're getting it from. So mine is named this in this file right here. And if I come over here, I have the red commented out just so I can prove to you guys that if I just take this out real quick, resave it, come over here, refresh it, it works. It's a completely different file, but since I linked it to the HTML page, it works. It's all through the link of the href. The href gives it the location of where to get the information from, and then from here, it applies it. And right now, we're only looking at the color for right now, just so we can show the difference of the CSS and where we get it from, and the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And so the point I'm getting across is to only use the external way. You always want to get it from a separate file so you can reuse it, and it's way more organized, so your HTML and then your CSS aren't butting heads in the same file. You want to keep it in separate files. And for the rest of this, I'm going to go over in a second here, so let's hop back to the PowerPoint and get into the next section. Alright, for this next slide, we're going to break down one line of CSS code just so you understand what it means, because you can copy something and just write it down over and over and over again, but if you don't understand what it means, you're getting nothing out of it. So the first part is called a selector. This is any element that you're trying to grab from an HTML file. So in this case, it's a paragraph tag, but it could be a body tag, header tag, whatever you want. And then the opening of the curly brace starts the declaration, and then the ending obviously ends it. But this entire portion of the property and value is known as the declaration. And you're going to hear that every now and then, but really just understand that after your selector comes two curly braces, and in text editors it adds two for you. You don't have to add both. If you just add the first one, it'll add the second one, and then place your cursor right in the center. And then you add the property, which we're going to go over quite a few here, the basic ones at least for now, but this one gives a font size, and you can either do font sizes in EMs or pixels, or there's a couple different units you can use for that. I usually stick to pixels unless it's like line height or something like that. But you want to add your property, colon, and then you give it a value. You can't have a value without a property, so they go hand in hand. And then for this one, it's 1.2 EM, and then you always add it with a semicolon. And okay, so that's a quick breakdown of one line of CSS code. So I'm going to show you a few in this portion that I wrote out. I just gave it a couple different properties and values. So I went after the H1 here for my selector, which if you come back here, my H1 is just my welcome to my channel tag. So that's all it is right here in red. And if you come over here, anything that I change in here will affect just the H1. So as you can see, the color is already red. And as I start it with the property of color, colon, and then red. And I'm going to get into colors and everything in the next video. Colors, there's 3 or 4 different ways you can actually get colors, which there's hexadecimal, the regular way of typing in right now, and then you can also do RGB. So I'll go into all that in depth in the next video. But for right now, we're just going to write out the actual word because it keeps it as simple as it can be. And then semicolon. If you get rid of this semicolon here, it turns white because it doesn't register. You have to have this colon above and it turns back to yellow now for those to register. It completes the line of CSS in layman's terms. So for the next one, we have text align, and this is how you're going to align the body of text that you would like to move on the page. So we have text align center, and just like you see here, this is the property, colon, value, semicolon. And then the same thing for font family, and then these are like backup fonts. So it's really the Courier New and then the backup fonts. And then for the paragraph tag, which if we come back to here, this is all just sample text that I wrote out. If you just write lorem, it'll give you sample text because I didn't want to actually write, there's no point in writing real text. So that's what all this is right now. And then if you come over here, we grab the paragraph tag. So for the color, we gave it a property, and then we gave it a value of black, and you ended it with a semicolon. You have to get in the habit of ending it with semicolon because that one little character can screw up your entire document. I promise you, it's happened to me plenty of times, and you're sitting here trying to debug it and figure out what it is. So just always remember to add the semicolon at the end. And then same thing goes for above. There's the font family, font size of 20 pixels here. It's a nice size for this one. The border, you can do border size, border color, and everything like that. But if you just type in border colon, and you can give all three values in one line of CSS. So it goes color, size, and then type. So you can do solid or dotted. If I were just to change this to blue real quick, just to show you guys, we can save it here, come over here, refresh, and it changes the entire border to blue. Okay, so these are just some of the most common CSS properties. So let's head back to the PowerPoint, and I'll show you the last thing we have for this video. Alright, and so the last thing I want to go over for this video is called the box model. You're going to get real used to this real quickly because it's kind of a pain in the ass at first, but you get the hang of it after a while. So the content is the base of everything. The content is going to be your H1, your paragraph, whatever you want, your actual text, picture, whatever it may be, that's going to be your content. And then the width and the height is adjusted just on that content, and everything else will fall into place outside of that. So then you need to remember that padding is the first thing from your content to the border, padding's in between that. And then next is the border, and then next is margin. Margin's way on the outside, and there actually is default margin and padding. I wrote out that you can, if I were to erase these right here to uncomment it and save it, you can, with the asterisk, you can set everything back to 0. So if I put margin 0, padding 0, it's going to erase all the default margin and padding it originally had. So if I come back over here and save it, you're going to see it all pushes up and shrinks a little bit. This is because when you're designing an entire website, you need to zero out everything so you can base everything off numbers. It comes to a numbers game. There's a lot more math than you think. And so that's just how you get rid of the default margin and padding. It squishes it up a little bit, but I'll show you why it's useful in the next video, so please stay tuned. And then if we come back to here, you can just take one last look at the box model. The hardest part is remembering that it's padding, border, and margin, because when you're getting through all those properties in your CSS, sometimes it gets confusing, so you might want to come back and look at this photo or screenshot it or just save one on your computer for yourself. Alright, so that's it for this video, guys. I just want to give you a little breakdown of CSS and the basics of it. I have 2 more parts coming soon that are going to be a lot more in-depth on certain properties and the floating of the website, zeroing everything out and really starting from scratch and making a web page fully. And then after that, I have planned to make an entire website from scratch, fully functional, HTML, CSS, probably like a 5 or 6 part series. And someone also brought up streaming. Let me know if you want to see me stream code. I would probably just make out websites, teach myself some stuff on the side, and stream while doing it. So if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comment section below. And if you have anything else, please let me know in the comments too. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please stay tuned for the next 2 parts of this series. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Closer, closer, closer than I've ever been.